Yes, I'm blue, parts of me are orange. Have nothing funny to say because we have little time to do this, so let's go into the intro right the fuck now.
It's showtime.
Finish starters all day, king of hearts, we don't play. I will show no remorse if you bring a traitor my way. If you're crossing my land, better understand you ain't safe.
What's going on, nomads, pod people, and strangers everywhere across the beautiful internet? My name is V, you know, like the letter, and welcome everyone to my second and final countdown of 2017, with us going over the top 10 films of 2017. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably going to be wondering what I actually chose from everything that came out this year, but I'm just going to tell you all up front. A lot of movies didn't impress me this year. And I mean a lot of movies did not impress me this year at all. So, I'm just going to pick over from the handful that I've seen, and then we're just going to roll with it. But I will say this. Everything that I have chosen with utmost care, a lot of research, and a lot of thought put into everything I've done. So let's get started now. As you guys just saw, number 10 is Happy Death Day. Now, Happy Death Day was a surprisingly okay horror movie for me. Comparing it to Better Watch Out, which was a terrible, terrible, fucking awful film that made me feel like, yeah, this is why I'm glad I don't have sons. Psychotic little fuck nuggets. Where Happy Death Day, on the other hand, was just kind of a Groundhog's Day meets slasher film that actually wasn't that bad. On the other hand, though, why is it only number 10? Well, comparing it to the other films I'm putting on this list, it's still pretty fucking weak, even with its weak-ass premise. And yes, it did impress me, but it also diminished any value of being impressive from how weak the story and narrative and characters were. That's just how I fucking felt about the whole thing, and it's honestly how I'm kind of bored about how most people do modern day horror films at this point in time. It's pretty much getting on my fucking nerves. Ah yes, thank you, segue. Number 9 is Baby Driver. Now, I'm also gonna be upfront about this. This wasn't that bad of a film. I mean, comparing it to Happy Death Day is like comparing cancer to basically being already dead. And that's sad, where you're just like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, I'm not dead, but I just have cancer. That's kind of the drawback to why it's at number 9, but why is it on the list in general? Because the story and narrative and how the characters were structured weren't that bad either from anything involving a heist/driving film. I mean, it could have gone so much more cheesy than it did. It could have gone so much more blatant in the whole symbolism about why the people were named the way they are and why their code names were the way that they were. And I'm not even going to bring up the Kevin Spacey thing because Kevin Spacey is still Kevin fucking Spacey. Did he do what he did? Did he not do what he did? I don't fucking care. All I know is it was a great enough film that just had one teeny tiny little fucking problem that really kind of overshadowed what the narrative could have been, which was a forced love interest, which I hate those. I like organic relationships that take time to be in a narrative, and I already understand, in just a singular film, you can't have organic, and oh, I fucking hate it! Coming at number 8, like you guys just saw, was Spiderman Homecoming. Spiderman Homecoming. Yeah, we're getting into the superhero territory for the countdown. You guys excited? Because I'm not. Yeah, like I've kind of pointed out in the After Hours review thing, where we'll have a full review for itself somewhere down the line. It wasn't a bad film. It wasn't a good film. It suffered from what Marvel keeps doing on repeat. I mean, Tom Holland, for myself, was an amazing Spider-Man. He was probably one of the best Spider-Men that we could have had in years. The first Spider-Man, since I can't say his fucking last name, was not that bad for being the nerdy guy, but he didn't really bring the jokes. Andrew Garfield, great with the jokes, too pretty. Tom Holland, decent looking guy, does actual parkour, can do all the actual flip stuff, and knows how to bring the character to life. Hopefully not one more day to life, but one can only hope. But like I've said before, why this wouldn't be one of my #1 films, it's because the Marvel formula for how its studios like to treat its films as if it's like their whole, you can see the whole thing coming, that just annoys me. I wanted to love this film more than I did. I really did. I wanted to give it a chance to be at the top 5. But that damn predictable formula just gets on my goddamn nerves. Marvel, fix your shit already. Hopefully in this 2-parter with the Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity Wars, you don't shit the bed like you've done the last couple of films. And God help you if you fuck up Black Panther. Thank you, Segways. Number 7 is Okja. Now, Okja was a film I found on Netflix, which was from the Cannes Film Festival, as well as Sundance, and other sort of independent film circuit type stuff. And it almost moved me to tears. Like, honestly, for a film that tries to be like, animals are people too, man, it didn't try to be overly preachy like most people would have assumed it would be. And honestly, I was gonna put What Happened to Monday alongside this as a tie, but I haven't seen the film at the time of this recording because the masters don't really have any recordings of it. Once by masters, I mean master copies, obviously, not masters as in I serve under people. It's different kind of masters in entertainment industry. Back to Countdown. And as far as you guys know, I didn't see the movie, so I gotta go with what I already talked about. It's only fair. But why is it only at number 7? Let's see. It's probably because the other 6 films, although they had a message to what the narrative were, it wasn't trying to be something a lot of people are verbally against and is kind of a huge controversial thing. At least not blatantly. Like Okja kind of is with the whole animal rights movement stuff, since I don't want to touch on those. Segway, you can save me at any time now. Why, thank you. Number 6, as you guys just saw, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Okay, that's enough of the whole thing of I say something and then it just segues to a trailer piece. Next up is just gonna be me actually having full-on segues for the top 5. But going back into number 6 about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, everyone was hyped about this sequel. I've already touched on that in the finale episode of my After Hours review sagas. Everyone was shitting their pants with excitement about Baby Groot, about seeing Star-Lord and Gamora with their relationship, and all that wondrous fucking stuff. I even had my sister Jasmine all the way up in the beautiful land of London just going off of like, oh my god, it was so amazing. I even had my brother Casey hit me up just like, dude, this movie is awesome. I even had Theo and some of his stuff that I tried to talk to him on just like, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was pretty great. It was pretty great. And yet when I'm seeing Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and then the first one, like I already pointed out to you guys, the hype wasn't really justified. Like the first one, I kinda could see it. I could honestly see where the appeal could come from, because not a lot of people have seen something of this magnitude for like an intergalactic Avengers slash Defenders patrolling the galaxy as anti-heroes. By the time the sequel came about though, it's kind of just like, guys, we get it, you're rehashing territory to just fill up space and go with the Marvel formula that's just so cemented that we all already know there is no consequence that we're gonna be stressed out about. It's the same exact bullshit that happens every time. You have the whole initial thing happen of whimsy and wonderment, or just the oh my god gasp factor, then move into an enemy that's so incredible that no real means happens that can really wow you off the top. But then all of a sudden the Marvel Deus Ex Machina thing comes in and just like the character learning something that was just foreshadowed earlier. As if to just say, this was the key moment that would save the entire universe as soon as you learn this lesson. Ends up being the saving factor to an annoying degree. it's tiresome and it doesn't help me get immersed into the narrative. It just makes me hate the film. So again, Marvel, for the love of God, get over this tiresome formula and try something new. It's getting dull. I can't believe I fucking gave you guys the #1 spot last year with Captain America Civil War with this shit. Anyway though, segue. Let's go to #5.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Coming in #5, we have War of the Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes. When will you ever cease to make movies where it's us feeling more sorry for primates than for humanity? So basically, my life in a nutshell. So, as we all know, War of the Planet of the Apes was the end of the trilogy involving Caesar's whole thing of trying to get his people of the primate variety to have a semblance of solitude and somewhat peace amongst themselves in a world where humanity just treats them like dogs or just wants to kill them. Or sometimes a fusion of the two. And it did not disappoint in being both a tearjerker as well as an exciting adventure story for all, as well as being, quite frankly, if I'm gonna get stoned for this, it kind of proves the theory wrong about the third film being the worst. And I'm saying that from someone that has seen all 3 of the prequel movies that sets up the narrative of Planet of the Apes. It honestly felt a lot more complete than the second film, making it the weakest of the trilogy, for many different reasons. But why is it only at #5? Well, for a small bit of reasons that I kind of feel are superficial in hindsight. Where, although this film is pretty good on the narrative side of itself, it doesn't really have that whole standalone, you could watch this and not feel confused factor, as well as being something that if you were to watch it after seeing the whole trilogy, you wouldn't really want to see it again if you weren't really invested from the first 2 films, which does kind of make it a big problem for sales purposes, as well as this small superficial thing on my own part, where it just kind of felt not as poignant and powerful as the other 4. Like, I'm a sucker for good story with great characters and amazing cast and awesome set pieces. Speaking of which, segue!
Yeah. It's crazy.
Coming in #4, we have probably the only film I feel bad about honestly pigeonholing it to just go back several numbers. Where #4 is The Shape of Water. So, how to go into why I'm only putting this #4 instead of in the top 2s, or tying it with the #1 film. See, guys, you may not know this. I'm honestly a hopeless romantic for certain reasons. If I can find the person, I may have found them, I may have not found them. I'm not hinting at my relationship status right now. But if I have found that one person where I want to honestly give my all to them, I would want to have it be not as stressful as other relationships. And I don't want them to feel like we're just 2 broken halves fixing each other. We would want to be people that complete the other no matter what, where it's like, instead of just seeing each other as broken pieces, we just see each other for what we are. The Shape of Water gives that appeal with the 2 lead characters. One is an actress that's playing the role of a mute woman. The other is a fish man that can't speak English. And yet the entirety of the story and narrative just trying to be like, they shouldn't be together because society wants the fish man dead. And they just want to belittle the mute person because mute people, just like all people with disabilities, don't really have the same rights. Which makes it even worse that this is set during the Cold War, so we already know where my nationality was doing during the time. So yay! but it just felt so sincere and how the love between these two really was that it hit me in a very personal spot when I was watching the film. Like, I honestly just sat there. I didn't want to say too much. I was just literally watching it to the point where the only thing I kept signing from just the whole film was beautiful. I just kept signing beautiful. But the only reason I'm personally putting it at number 4 is because biasness doesn't help with a countdown. You have to be honest with people about what could honestly be a number 1 in any countdown. Where if anyone's just gonna be like, it shouldn't be at the top 5 in the first place, I have a special sign for you guys. Segway!
Yeah. It's crazy.
Coming at number 3, we have the 2017 adaptation of Stephen King's It. Woo! We getting into the big boy territory up in this bitch. Okay. How do I begin with Stephen King's version of It? Well, let's see. Comparing it to the Tim Curry version is quite frankly stupid, and comparing it to the novels, that's something I'll never do. I will never acknowledge the fact that Stephen King is a great writer after he writes a scene about how basically 7 kids have a fucking orgy in the sewers. That is still not cool, Stephen King. But I will say this though. Although the first film that they did the adaptation for was comedically done properly, like I've said before, the 2017 adaptation brought the fear, it brought the suspense, the angling dark sense of everything that was both right and wrong from Stephen King's vision. There were a few problems though. A lot of scenes didn't really need a lot of musical stings, they just needed the shock factor of just the creepy ambiance and sound effects, something that Doug Walker did in fact bring up during his review of the film. And they tried too hard to make Pennywise super sinister. I mean, yeah, people are afraid of clowns. Me, I have a hatred and want to kill all clowns. But it's not really something of a super fear factor of a harlequin. They are supposed to be the archetypes of comedic banter. Now, if they did a fusion of both the original 90s adaptation on television and the 2017 adaptation to be both comedic and horror, instead of just being an 80s throwback, of just like, oh yeah, I remember New Kids on the Block, yeah, New Kids on the Block. But why is it only at number 3 though? Because the top 2 films actually felt more like complete stories. Because with the 2017 adaptation just being the kids' narrative, and a lot of people just automatically remembering how the 90s thing turns out and just are thinking how creepy that will get, it's kind of a moot point to just imagine how sinister it will become, especially given the interviews what the original script for this modern day adaptation was, which would have been even more creepy. Segway, where are you?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Coming in at number 2, we are talking about The Foreigner. Now, I've already talked to you guys before about how this is a film that right off the bat I could not review automatically because it just felt so powerfully attached to myself, because I've known what it's like to do something because you've lost a family member, to do some of the darkest things just to get revenge, even if it meant having the world look at you as the enemy. I've done certain things I'm not proud of just to make sure that I've gotten revenge for my family. I would still do that today for my siblings, my nieces and nephews, and my own daughters. It's just my whole thing of being very protective of what I love and what I cherish. Jackie Chan's character in The Foreigner was no different. He didn't care about how Britain wanted to solve stuff with Ireland. He didn't care how the Irish were trying to just muffle out the resurgence. He didn't care that the resurgence were trying to just earn some kind of independence for Ireland. He just wanted revenge for his daughter's death because she was an innocent bystander. How many of you guys could honestly say that after seeing that film, you wouldn't go to any sort of lengths to get revenge on people just because they wouldn't openly say, yes, we were involved, it is our fault? If you can't say that, you're fucking lying to yourselves. Every single person, even if you don't love your blood family, you have a family out there that you do something to that extreme for. Don't lie to yourself and don't lie to me. We would all go to those lengths. And the narrative did not lie on that point. It even went to other perspectives to show that, yes, it's not just Jackie's story. It's also the Irish's story. Well, yeah, the Irish's story. And it's also the Brit story. There is no singular narrative of just who's right and who's wrong. It's still a gray area for all involved. Every single candidate that was chosen for this film, phenomenal. The whole narrative, immaculate. How this was executed, exemplary. But why is it not number one? Basic thing though. Because so many people want to bitch and moan about how this could not happen, this is not realistic, this is totally not how most people would react. I was just throwing my hands up in the air and saying, you know what? Fuck it. Everyone wants to be a goddamn liar and not give into the whole thing about what your heart and soul would do. Cause that's what it fucking is. A goddamn lie. So you know what? Yes, I'm putting it at number 2 as both my solid middle fucking finger to all of you that want to say that it's not something realistic to what many people would do. Whether you had the skills to do it or not. It would still be what you yourself would do for what you cherish. So now, let's just move into number 1. You can find out what the honorable mentions are in the fucking description below. Segue.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And coming in at the number 1, among many other films, we are looking at the all-time most acclaimed film of 2017 in many people's eyes, of Logan. Now I know a lot of you guys could probably just all of a sudden like, oh my god, Logan, who could have thought that Logan was the number 1 film of 2017? Look guys, we all know Logan was a great movie. It was an amazing send-off for Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart. A lot of people fucking love this film, and it's not hard to see why. Cinematography, incredible. Acting choices, fucking spot on and sublime. The story narrative, everyone can pretty much quote this film by now. Logan is now old man Logan, dying from adamantium poisoning. Cornstarch killed off most of the mutants. Charles Xavier had a psychic breakdown and killed majority of the fucking X-Men. Therefore, mutants are virtually extinct. That choice of how it just goes into a sadder and sadder appeal to even go into the New Mutant storyline, in-fucking-credible in the Old Man Logan storyline. And I'm telling you all this because I learned all this from my brother-in-law, Aaron, who you all know as Hubs. This film does not disappoint anyone. Comic book people, they enjoyed the shit out of this. Wolverine fans, they loved the fuck out of this. Action movie / Western people that love these sort of genres, they were eating this shit up. I've never seen a movie so universally loved by so many people so quickly that not a lot of people wanted to shit talk this film. Even if you did, it was still just nitpicking at that point because everyone loved the movie so goddamn much that the DVD as well as certain cinemas had to do a black and white version of the film just so that they could get their whole spaghetti western or crime noir film from this movie. Like, oh my fucking god, who the fuck knew that there would be one X-Men movie that everyone would universally love to a T, as well as being one of the greatest Wolverine standalone films. Not a lot of people! Mostly because they thought that Hugh Jackman would be Wolverine forever. So, from just all that sort of stuff I could point out to you guys right now about my own analysis of the film, this is why it is the #1 film of 2017 on a non-biased rating. If you're going on a biased rating, it's a different video. You guys can request that whenever you fucking want to. I don't care about doing another biased list for you guys about my, I guess, top 5 films of 2017, because honestly, I only liked 5 films this whole year. All of which I don't mind going into another video for you guys after New Year's. So anyway though, this was probably this is definitely my second video back, where now we gotta do a bunch of re-recordings because they were corrupted! No! Ah well, fuck it. So, let's just do a regular outro, because no need to do the repeating 3 clips thing. See y'all!
Crazy mother.